Fran Brown lands another recruit.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And folks, does Fran Brown sleep? Let me know in the comments section below, because I'm honestly not very sure. Fran Brown is just a beast on the recruiting trail. He does not rest. It was only a couple of days ago that Syracuse football landed its fifth commit of the class, and we talked about him a lot yesterday, and wide receiver BJ Garrett. Well, last night, Syracuse football landed its sixth commit of the class of 2026, and it's offensive lineman Jojo White. We're going to get into his bio. We're going to talk about his offers or a lack thereof. I'm going to give you guys a little scouting report from what I could gather, and also talk about the updated 2026 recruiting class. So, Jojo White, he's from Camden, New Jersey. You might be thinking to yourself right now, Camden, New Jersey, that sounds kind of familiar. Where have I heard of Camden, New Jersey before? Well, my friends, that's where Fran Brown is from. So Fran Brown going to his hometown to recruit a player for Syracuse, Camden, New Jersey, pretty significant. And they get Jojo White there. He is listed at 6'5", 260 pounds. So he's definitely a little bit underweight at this point. But granted, he's a junior in high school. So while he doesn't have the weight right now, ideally you would want 300 pounds for an offensive lineman at minimum. He's got plenty of time to add on some weight. Plenty of time. And Syracuse has shown, even under Fran Brown, that they will sometimes recruit quote-unquote smaller kids. Not to say that 6'5", 260 is small. Obviously, compared to an average human being, that's pretty large. But for an offensive lineman, it's pretty small. But Fran Brown is not necessarily afraid of that. I look back in Syracuse's 2025 recruiting class, and granted, they got some beasts in that class. I mean, Byron Washington in 2025, he's 6'8", 380. Something like that. I don't know. He is probably the biggest human being when we see him, he's probably the biggest human being we're ever going to see in our entire lives. 6'8", 380 pounds. But in 2025, Syracuse football took 4 offensive linemen in that class that were under 300 pounds. They took a lot of offensive linemen, and some of them fell below 300. So it's not a big deal in my mind. I saw some people comment on his lack of weight, but I don't think it's a big deal. White is also not yet rated on any recruiting service just yet. This is also something that is not necessarily unheard of. In fact, we have seen a commit in 2026 commit and then get rated shortly thereafter. It was with defensive back Jackson Gates. I don't believe he was rated at all. Then Syracuse football landed him. They took a look at him for 24/7 Sports, and they assigned him a 3-star rating. My guess is that Jojo White, when he gets more evaluation, will probably get that 3-star attached to him, just because at this point, the experts and the scouts, they know who the 4 and the 5-star prospects are. So if you're not yet rated, you're probably going to slot in as a 3-star right now. And who knows, Jojo White can really improve. But as of right now, he's not yet rated, and I would guess that he is going to be a 3-star. As far as other offers, to my knowledge and from what I am gathering online and searching, I believe that Syracuse was Jojo White's only offer. And the offer came back in June per 24/7 Sports insider Mike McAllister. It came after Syracuse's big man camp. I think they were impressed with what they saw, and so they offered him. And, well, he decided to verbally commit to Syracuse last night. So good on Jojo White and for Syracuse on that. I imagine that if White continues to progress, he will probably still get offers to other schools. But that doesn't mean that he is automatically going to flip. That's just how it works in recruiting. But as of right now, I would say this is probably a pretty safe commitment, considering the fact that it was Syracuse was the first offer. They're, to my knowledge, the only offer. But we'll see what happens. And a scouting report on him, per Mike McAllister's article, as I told you guys, and I will link the article in the comment section below for you all. White had a strong performance at Syracuse's big man camp in June. And I believe he profiles as an offensive tackle at the next level. But it also should be noted that he does play defensive line in high school as well. I believe that Syracuse recruited him as an offensive lineman. So the latest member of Syracuse football in the class of 2026 is none other than offensive lineman Jojo White. I'm Jackson Holzer. This is Locked On Syracuse. We went over a bio. We talked about the lack of offers, and also a little bit of a brief scouting report. Now, coming up, let's talk about the 2026 recruiting class as it stands right now. This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was dealing with piles of paperwork and frustrating forms and then waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back. Now Taxes is easily uploading your forms to TurboTax Expert, who's matched to your unique tax situation. An expert who's backed by the latest technology, which cross-checks millions of data points for 100% accuracy while they work on your taxes. You get real-time updates on their progress. And you get the most money back guaranteed, all while you go about your day. No stressing, no worrying, no waiting. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax, then expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service, real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. One of my favorite memories was attending a concert last year. The energy and excitement was just unforgettable. Now GameTime has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, GameTime Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals and great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And recently I was looking for tickets for an upcoming Broadway show here in New York using the GameTime app. And with GameTime Picks, I found amazing deals and could even see the view from my seat before buying. The super deal was particularly impressive, offering great seats at unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in pricing feature shows the total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. The best part, when I won, I got paid instantly. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? Game time. As I stated yesterday, Syracuse football's 2026 recruiting class is off to a pretty strong start. As it stands right now in this very moment, granted, it's January 13th at 4:26 p.m. Eastern, so something could change knowing Fran Brown because I don't know if he sleeps, like I told you. But Syracuse currently has 6 commits in the class of 26, and it remains as the 18th best class in the country per 24/7 Sports. The reason why I say it remains is because on yesterday's full podcast talking about recruiting, it was the 18th. Even after getting Jojo White, it remains 18th. There are 4 offensive players in the class and 2 defensive players in the class. The 2 leaders on offense and 2 of the best recruits, in my opinion, in the class are Javeion Cooper, a 4-star offensive tackle on 24/7 Sports Composite and Rivals. And you also got BJ Garrett, a wide receiver. We spoke about him a ton yesterday. The number 2 overall player in the state of Delaware, a 3-star wide receiver. So a very nice get for Syracuse there. You also got Deontay Sheffy, the 3-star running back from Pennsylvania, and Jojo White, who we talked about earlier, an offensive tackle, not yet rated. I do imagine, though, he will be rated a 3-star when all is said and done. And now you got 2 defensive players, Maurice Medley. Now, 24/7 Sports, if you go check Syracuse recruiting, they will have him listed as a wide receiver. But I did find a Rivals article saying that Syracuse recruited him as a defensive player, and he plays linebacker in high school. So I imagine that that's kind of the idea they have with Maurice Medley when he gets to Syracuse in a while from now. Let's be honest, it's the class of 2026. But he could be a wide receiver, could be a defensive player. We don't quite know yet, but at very least, he's a good athlete. right? And you also have Jackson Gates, a 3-star defensive back from California. So that's currently the 2026 recruiting class for offense to defense, currently top 20 overall in the nation on 24/7 Sports. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below on Syracuse's start to their 2026 class. What do you want to see now from Syracuse? I think it's time maybe to land a big fish. What do you think? I think it's time, right? That would be very, very nice. And it's Fran Brown, so you never quite know. All right. As far as what is coming up on the podcast, well, later today, we got another mini podcast for you. It was expected, but it's still significant news that it's expected. Deuce Chestnut, he announced the other day, I believe it was actually yesterday he announced this, that he will be back with Syracuse for another season. So there will be a mini podcast on Deuce Chestnut on Tuesday. Syracuse basketball, they are playing Louisville at 7 p.m. Eastern. Louisville, a resurgent team under Pat Kelsey, certainly doing well now, on track to make the NCAA tournament. It'd be a pretty nice win for Syracuse. They've looked better over the last couple of games. They've been playing, not the greatest competition, Georgia Tech and Boston College. This would be a nice step if they can win, especially trying to climb the seeding in the ACC. This is a big game tomorrow against Louisville, and there will be a full post-game reaction podcast. And a reminder, be sure to vote on Poll Friday for this week. The question for this week was, how many Syracuse players do you think will be drafted in the 2025 NFL Draft? Now, you might be asking, where do I vote, Jackson? Well, that's a good question. You can go in the description below on this video right here, okay? If you're watching on YouTube, go in the description and you will find Twitter accounts. You'll find my account, and you'll also find the Locked On Syracuse account, and you can simply click on the Locked On Syracuse account. The question will be over there. And also, if you are watching this on YouTube, you can go to YouTube to the community section on Locked On Syracuse, and you can vote there as well. How many Syracuse players do you think will be drafted in the 2025 NFL Draft? Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this video, click that like button. If you really liked it, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications so you know right away when I am dropping the next podcast. And I will see you all again very, very soon.